Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some of my thoughts after the College Football Playoff Committee announced their top 4 picks. And I will have to say I was kind of surprised. Michigan held on to the number 1 spot. I honestly thought that maybe Washington would jump them and be, number 1. Beating number 5 Oregon was more impressive to me than beating number 16 or whatever it was, Iowa. But it is what it is. Michigan gets the number 1 spot, so they get to pick where they want to play the game. It was either Pasadena or I think it's not Baton Rouge, but down in Louisiana, probably New Orleans. And so most likely Michigan will play in the Rose Bowl, which is kind of cool that way, no doubt. I think there would be a good amount of Michigan fans out on the West Coast and would travel well. The Rose Bowl is always well attended. They're going to be playing Alabama, who surprisingly got the 4th spot. Obviously, Alabama, kudos to them, beat, Georgia. But just last week, they had the 4th and 31 play to win the game. I mean, kudos, they made the play. So, classic. Man, the reputation of Nick Saban is impressive. I'm like, of all the teams I didn't really want to play, it'd be like Alabama or Georgia, just because they smoked Michigan in the past, right? I mean, like, they played that game a few years ago with Denard and Dallas versus Alabama, and it was a complete blowout. Then obviously Georgia 2 years ago in the playoff completely dominated Michigan. So it's like, oh man, I wish that there's only a few coaches that have that mindset. Maybe it's just because I'm a fan. But like, man, I don't want to face against Nick Saban, man. I don't want to face a Kirby Smart team. I luckily don't have to. They finished 6th. But it's like, no! Sorry, laughed and coughed. Now, the other side of it, you're looking at Washington hosting Texas in most likely New Orleans, which will be close to Texas, so it's going to be a much closer venue for Texas. I'm fine with the Texas game. I'm just Texas-Washington I'm fine with. I'm just a little surprised by Florida State. They had to play their 3rd-string freshman quarterback yesterday. Only like 50 yards passing. Yeah, they won by 10 points at a neutral field versus number 10, I think it was. Number 10, Louisville. Yeah, number 10, Louisville. I think it was. I maybe got the number wrong. But they went undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and they're not being given the opportunity to play. Instead, they're giving it to a one-loss Alabama, who had some other tight games and such. And so, whatever, they only lost 1 game. It just made me reflect. I'm like, many people are saying, well, it's because the Florida State's quarterback was injured. And so it's not the same team. Well, that could be true. I have to say, good thing they're not looking at Michigan. Because Zach Zinter, possibly All-American, at least All-Big Ten guard, got injured. He's not going to be playing for Michigan. Luckily, they didn't decide to, punish Michigan for losing one of their important players. So, I mean, just say when you look at it like that, like, oh, I know quarterbacks are important. I get that totally, but it's like kind of a little selective judgment, right? Florida State still beat a top 10 team by 10 points at a neutral field. But, I watched a little bit of the SEC, ESPN, talk about the SEC. And one person, Booger Farland, he brought up, the SEC bias. And, of course, that completely ruffled some feathers of a couple of the other guys who want to act like this was an impartial thing. I mean, the SEC, just during the commercial break, before they made this announcement, we're playing a commercial about how they're the home of the SEC now. So, I'm just saying, and who's carrying the playoffs? ESPN. And, they're saying, how it doesn't seem fair that you would have a college football playoff without an SEC team in, because in the past they've been so good. I'm like, so what does it have to do with this year? So I guess we better have Clemson in there, because even Clemson was so good, they beat the SEC team. So, based on precedent, let's have Clemson in there, because how could you not have a playoff without Clemson? Oh, wait, that doesn't work. So your logic is flawed, but they don't want to see it that way. Anyways, my little complaining, moaning will make no difference in the real world of sports. I'm just giving some of you my thoughts. Alabama. I just hope two things here. One, I have to say, when you know you're playing Alabama, you know you're going to have to be prepared. And you're going to have to play sharp. And I think that's not a bad thing, because I think Michigan wasn't sharp yesterday, at least on offense. Defense was fine. So going into this game knowing you're going to have to play well, you know that you're going up against a really good coach in Nick Saban. You're going up against a really talented team in Alabama. You got to be ready to go. I think that's a little bit better than, say, maybe TCU last year, where, like, I think, honestly, the team thought TCU got so lucky winning so many games they could have lost. We'll just take care of them. We don't have to worry about them. I think that was part of Michigan's failure last year, not taking their opponent seriously enough. You're playing Alabama. You better be ready to go. It should be a great game. Should be a great game. But we'll see how it plays out. One little thing I forgot to mention yesterday or this morning, at 12:35, was that Jim Harbaugh, of all people, not surprisingly, found a way to get around the awkwardness of having the Big Ten Commissioner Petitti hand him the trophy. And many people on my MGO blog and other social media were just like saying, I can't wait for Petitti to have to give Harbaugh the trophy. And you know what? Jim Harbaugh's like, I'm not going to do that. And I shouldn't see that as a surprise. In hindsight, I'm like, it's so Jim Harbaugh. It's all about not him. It's about the kids, the team, the student athletes, the players, however you want to call them, right? You see those interviews, and he's bringing Samaje Morgan up to Fox to be interviewed. He doesn't stay and do the interviews. He's bringing people to get interviewed, right? It's all about the students, the kids, the players. And he didn't want to make it more awkward than it had to have been. So who does he have Petitti give the Big Ten trophy to? Zach Zenter, right? The guy, our leader, broken leg. He gets to get the ball, the trophy ball, right? This is so classic Harbaugh. Try not to make it about himself, but look at the players. Now, I really hope Michigan does what it should do. I really hope. Give him a big contract extension, huge buyout, so no NFL team will want Jim Harbaugh to come back to them. That's what I really hope, but we'll see if that happens. Hey guys, the Final Four is set. Michigan, Alabama, Washington, Texas. What do you think? Did they screw over FSU? I kind of lean they do. I mean, again, you are punishing FSU saying that their backup quarterback wouldn't be good enough. I mean, he was concussed. He probably will be back in a month. Right? So you're punishing a team that went 13-0 because they had an injury. Like I said, good thing Zach Zenter, I guess they weren't concerned about him. If you have any thoughts, put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Hey guys, thanks for watching. As always, until I see you next time, go Blue! That was kind of a fast handshake. Go Blue. I don't know. I'm self-conscious. Go Blue. That's better. One hand is better, right? Go Blue. Yeah, I think one's better. See ya.